Hey guys, I live in an apartment complex mainly filled with college students, although I'm a 23-year-old college dropout. The apartment complex is sort of tailored to the student lifestyle, one would say, complete with shared facilities, a gym, a pool, washer-dryer, etc., and even a sauna. Accessing these facilities costs a bit extra on top of rent. $50 more each month, but it's worth it for me. Anyways, after a long day at work, I decided to do my laundry. I threw my clothes into the washer, set the cycle, and went back into my apartment, figuring I'd catch up on some TV. I mean, washing cycles take about an hour, so I had time to kill. Now, here's where things get weird. A little over an hour later, I headed back down to the washer and dryer room, expecting my clothes to be ready to transfer to the dryer. Instead, I found my wet clothing laying on front in the dryer, and, well, the washer that had my clothes in it was now running with somebody else's clothes. I was baffled. I stood there for what felt like an eternity with my mind racing, and there were several empty washers and dryers in the room. So somebody had deliberately taken my wet clothing out and put theirs in and left. Anger, confusion, disbelief, and all these emotions were swirling, but I'm not the confrontational type. I just picked up my wet clothes, put them in the dryer, and went back to my apartment. As I sat back on my couch, a million questions started running through my mind. Who and why would anyone do this? I mean, did they do it on purpose? Was it a mistake? I should not shake the feelings that I should have done something about it, but I also did not want to cause any drama. Maybe the person who did it had a reason. I don't know, but I tried to rationalize it. It just felt so random. I grabbed my clothes from the dryer without any further issues, but the incident lingered in my mind. Now, I can't help but feel like I should have confronted a person or at least left a note. But I also don't want to be that person who makes a big deal out of something that might have been a simple mistake. So here I am, wondering to you guys if I handled it the right way or should I have stood up for myself? What do you think? Did I do the right thing or should I have taken some kind of action? Quick edit. Thank you for the responses. For now, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the situation, but I'll be back. Update number 1. It's been 6 weeks since the initial washer incident, and if I'm being honest, I'd almost forgotten about it completely. I genuinely started to think it was just a one-time mistake. But then it happened again here recently, and this time I'm absolutely livid. Late one night, after coming back from the gym, I decided to do laundry cycle. I put my clothes in the washer and, like last time, returned an hour later only to find my wet clothes sitting on the floor, again, with multiple washers still available. I mean, I could not believe it. My heart was actually pounding in my chest and anger bubbled inside me. This was no mistake. It was deliberate. And I was not going to take it lying down this time. So I threw my clothes in the dryer and sat in the washroom, determined to confront the person. My mind raced and my palms were sweaty, but I was resolute. I needed to know who was doing this and why. I sat there for an entire hour, waiting for the person to come claim their clothes out of the washer, and my dryer cycle finished and I folded my clothes, watching the strangers finish their cycle. Still, nobody came. The frustration was overwhelming. I felt violated. Was the person watching me and outweighing me? Did they know I was there, watching how I would react? I gave up and left, returning to my apartment more frustrated than ever. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Was it some weird game or vendetta against me specifically? I confided in a close friend, and they were just as baffled and outraged as I was. They encouraged me to talk to the apartment management, but I did not want to escalate things yet. I wanted to handle this myself. So here's where I need your advice. I've come up with a plan for revenge if it happens a third time. I won't go into deep details yet, but let's just say I'm ready to fire back. I know it might sound petty, but I feel like I have to do something since it's happened twice now. It will only continue if I don't do something. Am I wrong to feel this way? Should I let it go or report it to the apartment management? Or should I go through with my plan? Your thoughts and opinions would mean a lot to me right now as I'm struggling to figure out what the right thing to do is. Edit. The support I've received from everybody is incredible. Thank you, and, well, be on the lookout for more updates to the story. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. I just want to know, what do you think the plan is for OP? Let me know in the comment section down below if you've ever had this situation happen to you. There's still 2 more updates to hop into, but if you're enjoying today's video, show a bit of support by subscribing to the channel, and let's jump into update number 2. 1 month. It was 1 month after my last update I finally decided to take action. Both with the apartment management and with my own revenge, here's what happened. First, I went to the management office and told them about the situation as many of you suggested. Unfortunately, they were unable to help. There's no cameras in the washroom, and they could not assign staff to monitor the place at night. Their quote solution was for me to stay with my clothing at all times. It felt like a dismissal, and I was beyond disappointed. I thought this would be taken seriously, but they just shrugged it off like it was no big deal. I felt ignored, trivialized, and more determined than ever to get to the bottom of it. For the first few weeks, I followed the manager's advice, waiting by myself in the washer room, and no one came in the whole time. The frustration mounted me, and I felt like I was wasting precious hours of my life. By the 3rd week, I've had enough, and I decided I was not going to wait anymore. And if it happened again, I would get my revenge that night sure enough. My wet clothes were back on the floor, and I just laughed bitterly, not even surprised anymore, and threw them in the dryer. I waited again, hoping to catch the person, but they never returned. This time, though, I was ready. With my clothes dried and folded, I put them in the hamper and, well, eyed the bleach bottle that was sitting on the shelf in the room. My heart pounded as I grabbed it, knowing exactly what I was about to do. I poured the entire bottle onto the stranger's wet clothing. My emotions exhilarated. Something else I could not quite name, but I threw the bottle away and left, feeling good about my payback, but also questioning if I've done the right thing. That night, I sat in my apartment wondering how the person reacted to finding their clothes bleached. What had I done? Was this justified? What would you guys do if you were in my position? Since then, I've decided to just make the 45-minute drive to my parents' place over the weekend, just so I can do my laundry without worry. It'll give me time to spend with my parents and allow me to escape the ridiculous washer drama. But for now, I'm left questioning my actions. I'll update you guys if anything else happens, but let me know. Am I the a-hole? Update number 3. I truly believe that this last update was going to be the end of this crazy washer saga. But life had more of a twist in store, and I just had to share it with you. A few days after the Bleech incident, I was met by one of the apartment complex managers. As I was returning from the grocery shop, my heart skipped a beat when I saw her waiting by my door. Her face tight with what seemed like concern, but she followed me inside and immediately started questioning me about a complaint that they've received. Somebody's clothing had been ruined and they were trying to find the culprit, and I could hear her eyes probing me, searching for a hint of guilt. My mind was racing a bit, but I looked at her with a stern face and lied, saying that I've been going to my parents' house to do laundry ever since our last talk, and I could not trust that washroom anymore since my incident. I told her with my voice a bit trembling. Then with a smirk, I added that maybe they should have looked into buying security cameras for the facility a little bit earlier. I watched her eyes widen slightly, and I knew I had her. She gave me a slight nudge, probably not expecting my boldness, but then laughed and reluctantly agreed. We shook hands, and she was leaving. She said that they were going to look into installing cameras at their facilities and get it done ASAP. I just closed the door. Yeah, my heart was pounding, but she didn't know, and I let out a little evil laugh. I've won. I felt like I had already taken control of the situation, and it was exhilarating. For the next few weeks, I continued doing my laundry at my parents' place, waiting for the new cameras to be installed. I knew it could have turned out badly, but it did not. All worked out for the better. But now, as I sit here reflecting on everything that went down, I can't help but question myself. I mean, yeah, I took revenge in a way that could have led to serious consequences, maybe getting kicked out of my apartment, or even worse, going to jail. I lied to the manager's face, manipulated the situation to my advantage, but is that wrong? I was pushed in a corner, made to feel violated and targeted. I did what I felt I had to do. But I'm still left wondering, am I the a-hole for bleaching a complete stranger's clothing? and in a way forcing management to install cameras. Well, I do have one more thing I want to mention. It just makes me so incredibly mad that whoever was doing this never got caught. Only thing I can hope is that these new security cameras get installed and they don't notice it and continue to do their games. But, you know what they say about karma? It comes full circle for everybody that deserves to get bitten. What a wild ride that was, guys. Mr. Reddito here. Let me know in the comment section down below what revenge you would take if this was happening to you. There's a few comments that I want to talk about. They were some pretty high points to these comments that got a lot of attention. Not all these people agree with each other, so in our comment section downstairs, let me know which one of these comments you think is the best advice. Comment number 1 says, I can't believe the apartment complex management did not step up and help you out more. You were absolutely right to take matters into your own hands. It's absurd that they would leave you to deal with this on your own and not take any responsibility for the shared facilities. Security cameras should have been installed a long time ago. There's no way you could be considered the a-hole. Comment number 2. Honestly, after the 3rd time, something had to have been done. I mean, yeah, I guess you got a bit of revenge with the bleach, but they got away with this for who knows how long. The stranger had no reason to do that, especially with the other washers available. They just didn't want to pay for it. You gave them a consequence, and sometimes that's the only way people will learn. You did what you had to do, and I completely agree with your actions. Comment number 3. And guys, this is one of the comments that not a lot of people agree with. While I get you were frustrated, destroying somebody's clothing with bleach was not the way to handle this. This was just all done wrong, and it should have been handled differently. The stranger definitely sucks for repeatedly messing with your laundry, but your reaction was over the top and not justified. Everybody sucks here. Comment 4. Wow, you're brave and bold for what you did. I mean, seriously, it takes guts to stand up for yourself like that. And it seems like everything worked out in the end. The stranger's actions were out of line, and your response, although extreme, led to a solution. There's no way you're the a-hole, and I'm glad things turned out well. Comment 5. I'm amazed that you've never caught the stranger in the act. It's almost like a laundry ghost was haunting the room. Security cameras should have definitely been installed, but they will help in the future problems at least, and should have been a solution from the get-go. The stranger's actions inexcusable, and you were pushed to breaking points. Not the a-hole, and I hope the new security measures prevent any future issues. And the final comment, guys. While I understand your frustration and the stranger's behavior was clearly wrong, I can't help but think that you went too far by completely destroying their clothing with bleach. There were other ways you could have handled the situation without resorting to such an extreme measure. You could have continued to report the incidents to management or found alternate laundry solutions in this case. I believe that your reaction was disproportionate to the offense, and I'm sorry to say, but I think you're the a-hole. Alright guys, that's the end of story number 1. Let me know in the comment section down below which one of those 6 comments you're rocking with the most. We still have one more story to hop into, and it involves an IT specialist who's going through a heck of a time at his workplace. Here it is. Story number 2. My job as an IT specialist at Atlas Tech was anything but easy. But what had started as a passion turned into a mundane routine, mainly due to my insufferable manager, Derek. You see, Derek was the type to forget your name unless he needed something from you, and he had the nasty habit of taking credit for everyone else's work. One evening, I overheard Derek speaking with a potential client. "Oh yes, Mr. Wilkins, our latest data backup and retrieval project. It was my brainchild," he boasted. That was my project. I'd spent months perfecting the system while Derek played golf. This was the last straw. I started planning a bit of revenge, something subtle yet satisfying. With my knowledge of the company's IT infrastructure and Derek's predictable habits, I hatched a bit of a plan, and it was perfect. Derek was presenting our new project to some major client in a week. He was using high-end laptops provided by the company, which had every presentation, every project, and every client correspondence that he ever needed. He dubbed this his golden goose, because it held everything that made him look good. Using my admin access, I quietly set up a cold storage backup system on his laptop. Cold storage, for those unfamiliar, is a method of storing data wherein the data is not immediately accessible. Retrieving the data requires a time-consuming, complicated process. It's used mainly for data that's not frequently accessed but is essential. I made sure that every file Derek would need for his presentation was sent to cold storage unbeknownst to him. The day of the presentation, I came in early, ensuring I had front row seats, and Derek swaggered in, radiating arrogance as he opened his laptop and went to access his meticulously organized presentation. A look of confusion spread across his face. Instead of his files, there was a pop-up message. The data you're trying to access is in cold storage. Estimated time to retrieve, 72 hours. A cold sweat broke out, and Derek's forehead was starting to look sweaty. He tried accessing other files, and each time the same message. Murmurs of confusion and impatience began to fill the room. Derek stammered, trying to explain the situation, and the clients looked unimpressed. One of them spoke up.
Derek, our time's valuable, and this is the level of professionalism we can expect from Atlas Tech. Perhaps we should reconsider our partnership.
I had to stifle a laugh, and after a disastrous attempt to wing the presentation, Derek excused himself, face red with humiliation, and the clients, looking skeptical, left in a hurry. Word of Derek's disastrous presentation spread like wildfire throughout the office. Soon, everyone knew. Later that day, the CEO summoned Derek, and from my desk I could hear their muffled conversation. It was a mixture of anger and disappointment, and the door slammed and Derek stormed out, looking absolutely defeated. I thought my revenge was complete, but the universe had a bit more surprises in store. The next day, a company-wide email went out. Derek had been demoted, and in his place, they needed somebody familiar with the project to take over. Well, that somebody was me. The following months were a whirlwind. I successfully secured deals with those same clients Derek failed to impress. The office atmosphere improved drastically without Derek's overbearing presence, and me, I was happier, more driven, and relishing my new position. One day, Derek approached me, a shadow of his former self.
Look, I don't know if what happened was your doing or just terrible luck, but I wanted to apologize. I was a jerk, and I took credit for things I shouldn't have.
I smiled, savoring the moment. Derek, sometimes we all need a bit of cold wake-up calls. Or, should I say, cold storage.
I suppose I had that coming.
We weren't suddenly best friends, but there was mutual respect, and perhaps it was karma, poetic justice, or the simple results of actions catching up to you. But that day I learned a valuable lesson. When you're patient and smart, revenge is the best served cold. Well, storage-wise.